Hi everyone, it's Liz from Mighteor, and this is Mighteor Monday, and it's our first Mighteor Monday of the new year. So happy new year to you. We hope 2017 is already off to a wonderful start. We are so excited for the new year because we believe that one of the big things that's going to be really popular in 2017 is live video, which is why this entire live session today is going to be all about how to use live video in the new year, how to take advantage of the trends and the planning that you can do to really do live video well, all the different ways that you can do live video, and really helping you to take that next step to start to prepare and plan for your live video strategy in the new year. So without any further waiting, I just want to dive into a quick story. So this morning we were prepping for our Facebook Live session for probably the last half an hour. And of course there is always technical difficulties. It's always a challenge to get this stuff right the first time. And so one of the things that I really want to impress upon you before I dive into all of these tips and tricks is that you have to be patient with yourself and you have to be patient with your team as you try to get this right. We thought we were live for a solid 3.5 minutes, and I had been yammering on for a solid 3.5 minutes to absolutely no one in particular because we somehow did something wrong in our Facebook live streaming. And so being patient with yourself, being patient with your team, understanding that to do live video is actually really, really hard, and to do it well is a huge challenge. And so if you do manage to really latch onto this trend in the next year and do really well with it, you will be a rock star, because it is a lot harder than it looks. So let's dive right in with the tips and tricks that we're offering people for getting started with live video in 2017. So one of the first things I want to tell you about is the difference between different types of live streaming platforms. Not a lot of people realize that every live streaming platform needs a different approach. So Facebook Live, which is basically the opportunity to talk for however you want, as long as you want, in a live manner, is probably the best option for brands that want to be able to do things that are more long format. Things like conversations, things like this, where you're offering more long form tips, tricks, techniques, observations, or advice. This is the kind of format where you're going to have the time and the leeway to give that kind of information. The other really great thing about Facebook Live is that it allows you to leverage the really large volume of fans and followers that you've already acquired on social media. So if you have a Facebook page that already has, a few thousand followers on it, you've already got a built-in audience. And beyond just that live recording session, this video lives on. It lives on for months and months and months after it's over. So you're really positioning yourself well to start putting more video content out in the world and really leveraging those audiences that already exist there. The same thing is somewhat true for Instagram. A lot of brands have spent a lot of time and a lot of money harnessing their Instagram fan bases. And so if you've got a few thousand followers on Instagram, taking advantage of Instagram stories, which is very similar to Snapchat, allows you to capture live video bits, only about 15 seconds, but small bits, and piece them together, is a really incredible way to start using live video in a meaningful way where you already get to have that built-in audience. You don't have to spend a ton of time attracting new users. I would say for most brands, the biggest challenge, the biggest question mark that comes up is how to use Snapchat, because it is kind of the anomaly. It's the one where most brands don't have a big built-in follower base already kind of to start with. So you are going to have to come up with that strategy for how can our content help us to build more followers, help us to build more of an audience. And so be thinking about that in 2017. Where do you have your most built-in audience already? Where do you have the most opportunity to engage people who are already interested in your business, your product, your service? And how can you start to really speak to them immediately? So maybe for some brands, that's going to be Facebook Live. That's going to be the really smart, easy entry point for live video in the new year. But for other brands, maybe you don't have a huge Facebook following. Maybe you're a new brand. And so the opportunity might be for you on Snapchat because you don't have that already existing base of customers that are expecting things on a different platform. Be sure to not overextend yourself. Really pick one, harness it, try to really perfect your technique and how you're going to go about it, and focus on that for a while. That's going to be the way to not get overwhelmed, and that's going to be the way to make sure that you really have the opportunity to do it right and do it in a way that you feel is in alignment with your marketing strategy and your brand. The biggest thing that we don't want to happen is we don't want you to feel like you're just kind of fracturing off all these different live videos and they have no central theme, they have no central tie to your brand. So be thinking about that brand first element, then what platform to go to, and what stories you want to tell. So that's kind of just an introduction to the different live platforms you might think about using in the new year. And beyond that, when you want to be thinking about how do I start planning that big question, how does this connect to my brand? I want you to be thinking about two things as it pertains to your brand. What are the big stories of your year? So those stories could be new product rollouts. They could be new software updates. They could be new hires or transitions within your business, such as a new CEO or a new CTO. They could be, a new service that you're rolling out to your customers if you're a service business like Mighteor. So be thinking about in your marketing plan, what are the big stories, the big rollouts that you're already thinking about for the new year? And highlight those, call those out, and start to think about, okay, how can I use live video to support this story? And let's use a use case as an example. Let's just start with a use case. So let's say that you're a technology company and you're rolling out a new product in March of 2017. That is your plan right now. And the new product is primarily targeted at customers that are already using a previous version of your product. You're basically trying to sell them the new version, the new upgrade, if you will. My advice would be to start thinking about how to take the platforms that you're using where those customers are already engaged with you and start targeting those places first for live video. So what I mean by that is you're really probably going to be looking at Facebook and Instagram as the place where you're going to focus with live video in the new year. Snapchat, like I said, is probably going to require you to build an audience base. So since you're already targeting existing customers for your new hypothetical technology product, I want you to be using those platforms where those customers are probably already spending their time interacting with you. So that's where we're going to focus. So now that you've decided, all right, we're going to use Facebook Live, we're going to use Instagram Stories, and we're going to use it to lead up to the launch of our new product to our current customers. Great. That's a great starting point. Now, what is the story? What are the behind the scenes nuggets that you can provide to people? Well, on Facebook Live, think again about long format. Think again about what you can do to give people that inside look, tips, tricks, techniques, different ways to be thinking about behind the scenes or really interesting, engaging content. One thing that I would do if it was my company and we had a technology product like this imaginary one I'm creating for the purposes of this explanation is I would actually do interviews with different people on the product team. So I'd bring in a technology person, somebody that can talk about what kind of new features are you going to be seeing, what's on the back end, what kind of cool nifty things might people not notice right away that they're going to be able to take advantage of in the product. That's a great 15-minute interview. Sit them down with your engaging social media person and your technology person, have that conversation on Facebook Live. Suddenly you've got a great piece of content about what people can expect in March when you roll out your product. Similarly, you can tie that back into Instagram. So you can go onto Instagram, you can do an Instagram story, and you can say, hey guys, we just posted a great interview with this guy over here. He's talking about all the new technology that's going to be in the new product. That's a great way to just cue people to go back to your Facebook page, re-engage with all the video that you're having. Now, maybe as a separate strategy for Instagram, you want to start showing prototype mock-ups, behind the scenes video of the product being made, behind the scenes short clips of people talking about what they're most excited about in the new product. These are the kinds of things that can be done quickly and easily. Put 10 employees in a conference room, line them up in a good spot with nice lighting, have them say, I'm excited about product X because of this feature, fill in the blank. Do that once a day for the first 2 weeks leading up to your product launch, and you'll have a great library of video that you can use to show how live video is driving interest in the product. Again, it's all about creating a story, creating some reason for people to keep engaging and keep coming back. So now that you kind of have some conceptualization of what you might be talking about or what you might start with on each of these platforms, I also want you to be thinking about how to plan for this. It's very, very hard to get live video right. As I talked about earlier, even us as a video production company, we make mistakes. We have to retool back and figure out how to make it better. You are going to have the same challenges. And so anything that you can do to plan is going to be really helpful. But there's a really important balance that I want to strike with you here. You don't want to overplan. You don't want to script people. You don't want to get people so nervous about the experience that they feel like they can't just relax in front of the camera. But you also don't want to go in with no plan at all. You don't want it to be so loosey-goosey that people don't know how to get started. And so that's why I suggest coming in with sort of a framework. We call it a storyboard framework. Basically, what are the 3 to 5 points that you're going to cover in this video, especially if it's on Facebook Live? What are the questions you're going to ask? What are the questions you want to answer? Start thinking about the bullet points of what that's going to look like, and then tackle it. I have one for this episode today. I'll even show it to you. It's got the full list of everything that I want to talk about. It's 11 bullet points, easy enough for me to remember by just glancing at it, but not so overwhelming that I can't kind of go off the cuff if I want to. So that's the perfect balance. Having that bullet point list of the things you want to talk about, that's perfect for Facebook Live. For Instagram, it's going to be really all about having that solo prompt, that single prompt where people can just jump right into it and go to the next thing. So exactly like that product demo I talked about where you were lining up 10 employees and having them fill in the blank, that's the exact right amount of length for Instagram. It's also a great length for Snapchat if you want to go there. But again, really focusing in on the platforms where you have that built-in audience. Now, that framework, again, how do you make it? How do you plan it? How do you create it? I'm going to give you a secret of how I create my framework. I actually go and I look up what is kind of most interesting, what are the stories that I'm seeing, what are the things that I see people are reacting to on our Twitter feed, on our Instagram page, and I try to reverse engineer those questions. I also think about what our customers ask us all the time. So customers constantly ask me, how do we plan for a documentary style video? How do we plan for something that's going to be more off the cuff or at a live event? That's the kind of moment where we have to be really smart about coming up with, this is our hit list. This is what we want to cover. These are the shots we want to get. These are the sound bites we want to hear. We use that same philosophy for driving our framework. We figure out what are the sound bites that are most important. If you're in a marketing department and you're thinking about your brand, you almost certainly have key messages somewhere, key messages about that new product. So take those key messages, again, reverse engineering, using those as your framework for creating live video. Okay, that was a ton of information. So let's just take a breather. Let me remind you that what we're talking about today is live video. So one of the reasons that I really love these live videos is because they're kind of a snapshot in time. They're a historical marker of where we're at as a business, where we're at as a team, where I'm at as a creator of video content, sort of the things that I'm thinking about, and also the questions that we're hearing. They're a historical reference to what we're hearing from our clients and our customers, and I love that. I think it's a really interesting balance between just having things that are fun and whimsical, like our holiday video, and having things that are real and about the real questions that real customers are asking. So just remember when you're kind of getting overwhelmed by live video, because believe me, even I get overwhelmed by the prospect of going live and having to say everything right. Remember that this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to get things that maybe you wouldn't have had a chance to talk about otherwise, and have that open dialogue with your customers. So be thinking about that. It is an opportunity. And it also can be fun. You know, it is definitely a challenge to sit here and remember what I'm going to say and have everything sort of pre-planned in enough of a way that it's still free form and can still have room to breathe and change. But it is fun, and it does eventually become something that is second nature, which leads me into my next big tip, which is prepping your talent for doing this. So 2 big things if you're going to be talent on screen in this kind of format as a live video on Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat. The first is you want to get people doing online video right away. As soon as you identify that that person is going to be doing more live video for your organization, you want them to be recording more videos of themselves all the time. Give them homework. Say, I want you to give me a 2-minute video on Monday afternoon that is all about product feature X. It doesn't even matter what it is. Just pick something within your organization, pick something within your business. Have them record themselves and really watch it and give themselves feedback. The more they can watch themselves, see how they're acting on screen, see how they're speaking, they can start to see what they want to improve, and it also gives you the opportunity to help them improve as well. Big thing, make sure you give people constructive, helpful feedback. It is not helpful to say, you look stupid there, or you sound crazy there. That is not helpful at all. make sure you say things like, in this section, you really excelled at providing detail about the product without getting overwhelming. That's a great piece of feedback. Maybe on the more you need to fix this side, it can be something like, you need to slow down when you're talking about technical specs because it gets a little bit overwhelming and we need people to be able to hear that information. That's a really helpful comment, and that's the kind of thing that someone can practice. They can then go do the same exact live video exercise with themselves and try to implement that feedback. I suggest giving people at least 4 weeks of practice like this before you just have them dive into the live experience, so that first time when they do go live, they don't feel totally overwhelmed by the prospect of people watching them. They feel like they have some hold on what they're really good at so that they can fall back on it if they have to. And they know what to prepare for, so they know exactly what they're going to have to say. The second really big thing for prepping your talent is giving them a timeline. Let them know at least a month in advance, this is when we're first going to go Facebook Live, and these are all the dates that we're planning to do live video, so that they can start to mentally prepare themselves. Even this morning, when I was getting ready for my day, I was thinking about, okay, here's how I want to start. I want to make sure I touch on these things. I want to make sure that I reduce the amount of hand gestures that I do because I talk with my hands so much. And that is the kind of feedback that I give myself as I prepare for these video sessions so that I feel confident to come in here and give you this Facebook Live session. Okay, now, I know that one of the things that people ask me most often is, how do you market live video? How do you market it to your customers, to your audiences? How do you make sure that people actually watch? Two big things. I touched on it earlier, but let's talk about it again. The first is using platforms that you already know you have a built-in audience on. So for many, in fact, most modern businesses, they've invested a ton of resources in building a Facebook audience base. If that is you, I would focus my effort there. I worked with organizations that have over 100,000 fans on Facebook, and they haven't had really good engagement in a long time. And it's because they've been using traditional posts, traditional photos, and they haven't dabbled in video. I promise you, video will be a way to re-engage them. You will find that it may just market itself because Facebook is working so hard to put video first on the platform that they will be promoting your video for you in a big way. But the second thing is really just creating all the content marketing collateral around it for marketing your live video sessions so that people know that it's there. So, for example, we have a Mighteor Monday trailer. It's a trailer that we put on YouTube, Vimeo, we put it on Instagram. We repost it on our blog from time to time. It's something that we just pull out of the archive every time we know we have a Mighteor Monday coming out, and we just plan for it. Eventually, we're also going to create a reel of all the best snippets of your questions, of my talking, that we could include as a highlight reel of things that we talked about in 2016 on Mighteor Monday. Another great way, just take the best sound bites, piece them together, start to market your future video with your past video. Other content marketing techniques, just leverage all your platforms. I tweeted right before I started. I went ahead and posted on Instagram last week. Just telling people that it's happening is a huge bonus. And the last thing that I cannot impress upon you enough, email marketing. You would not believe how many people will tune into a live session simply because you posted or sent an email a few days earlier saying join us for our Facebook Live session on these topics. If you're offering helpful information, if you're offering real customer insight, if you're offering an open dialogue, people will join you. So that's how you market your live video next year. Last thing I want to talk about, etiquette for comments and for just general interaction. You know, it can actually be really hard. One of the tough things about this medium is I don't actually know, what kind of comments we're going to get. We really hope and we believe that most of the people that follow Mighteor are great people and they're just going to leave us great comments. But if you're a really big organization, you do have to worry about those comments. You do have to worry about having somebody on hand to really deal with that. So here's what I recommend. Number one, have a comment policy if you don't already. If you don't have a comment policy on your social media pages, I really recommend reaching out and to your lawyer and getting one. You can do that. That is something that you can actually do. So really outlining what do we not accept, what do we reserve the right to delete or not respond to, and make that publicly available. That's the first thing you can do right away. The second thing, be on top of it with your team. So I have the rest of our team sitting behind me monitoring this session, making sure everything's going okay, making sure that we're seeing your comments. That is the kind of support you're actually going to need. You're going to need at least one other person helping you out, even just setting this up, but helping you react to comments, filter through the comments, respond to comments. Last month when we did our holiday gift guide for people who love video, Ryan was in there posting all the links to the different things that you could buy in real time. That's the kind of support you're going to need. It's going to be almost impossible for me to be awesome at being on camera and responding to comments at the same time. And the last thing that I hear a lot is I hear people say to me all the time, do I have to respond to every comment? No, you do not have to respond to every comment. Use your editorial insight, use your editorial judgment, figure out what makes sense for you. This is your live video. Do what you want. So make sure that you're planning that. You know that you're going to have the team support, and do what you want. Respond to what you want. Answer to what you want. That's the best, really the best plan. Okay. So one more question that I want to answer that I want to make sure we talk about is the team support needed to actually pull this off. So for us, it takes about 3 people to do this right. Myself, to sit here and provide the content, to prepare the content, to figure out what we're going to say. We also have Evan helping me out with the setup, the lighting, the sound, the camera itself. And then we have Ryan, who is looking at comments, promoting the posts, making sure that we're getting it engaged with different people. So that's 3 people for us, and I think that's pretty lean. I do think it can be done with 2, but it definitely cannot be done well with 1. So don't just go to your social media person and say, this is your job now. No, it's not. You need to make sure that you have at least 2 people supporting these efforts. It does require that kind of time. Let me just take a moment to let you know that the next Mighteor Monday is going to be February 6th. We're planning another great episode about a video trend. That one's going to be all about mobile video and the difference between planning for mobile video and regular online video. So be thinking about what questions you might have, offer those up in advance. And of course, Happy New Year to you. We can't wait to share more videos with you in 2017. And thank you so much for your support of Mighteor. It means a lot to us, and we can't wait to do more videos like this with you in the future. Thanks, guys.